Hello and welcome to an episode of the Connection Compass podcast. I'm your host, Andrea Louise Evans. On Monday, the 20th of October, I'm holding an event in Manchester, building safer spaces for people to thrive through the holistic lens. If you are interested in leadership, an aspiring leader, or are interested in culture change, please check the show notes for the details of that event. In this episode of the podcast, though, I'm joined by fellow nurse turned facialist Sheree Powell. We reflect on our shared experiences of nursing through COVID and how Sheree's curiosity about skin grew into a passion rooted in ancestry, care, and ritual. Together, we explore what it means to change identity when shifting careers, how the accountability of nursing stays with you, and how caring outside the healthcare system can create new space for freedom and creativity. We also talk about skincare as a form of meditation and the wisdom behind creating an oil to keep the skin soft and supple through tradition and care. Hi, Sheree, and welcome to the Connection Compass podcast. How are you today?
I'm okay. I'm feeling quite warm today since it's been very sunny for these past couple of weeks and months, but I'm really thankful. So I'm feeling quite radiant, shall we say.
Excellent. It's wonderful to have you here. For our listeners, would you mind sharing a little bit about yourself?
Yes, my name's Sheree. I am a nurse of nearly 14 years working in surgical care, mostly for my career. And I've recently launched my company called Orion Mir, which is a facial service, which will be a skin service at some point, helping people with hyperpigmentation, with their acne problems, with fine lines and wrinkles, just helping people to understand their skin more so they can take more control over their skin. Because sometimes it feels like the skin is really new. But once you know the sequence and the routine in order to get the skin that you want, then it's skin coaching for that, really. So I've just been dabbling in, well, not dabbling, I've been working, trying to launch that while still working in the busy area of surgical theatres in a private hospital.
That's really interesting. And obviously, I have a background as nursing as well. Over the past year, I have come across quite a few people like myself who have had a nursing career, have been really grateful for that career, have gained lots of skills, but for a whole range of different reasons, they've just found another path. Could you share a little bit about what that path was like for you?
Well, my journey into nursing started, like 2008. I didn't know what I wanted to do for a career. Those are the times you used to go to your career advisors and ask what to do. And I kind of fell into it because I liked infectious diseases and I liked health and social care. But by the time I qualified as a nurse in 2011, there wasn't any or barely any nursing jobs. And it's a huge transformation to what it's like now. You really couldn't pick where you wanted to go. It's wherever had the spaces for you to go. And I think it was probably nearly coming up to 6 months after qualifying. I was like, if I don't get this job, I'm going to quit nursing. And I got the job. So I've always explored different avenues of nursing that I've come across it as a student nurse. I tried sexual health. I thoroughly enjoyed it because that's where I wanted to stay. But because of like the politics that was going on at the time, I decided it was time to move on. I've been in neonatal ICU. I've been in adult ICU during COVID, which was a very traumatic, weird time. And I hope I never have to face that ever again. And then I just went back into doing surgical nursing as a theatre nurse in recovery because I was able to care for the patient on a one-to-one basis and be with my colleagues and learn more about surgical care. I've been in pre-assessment. I've been all over the place. So I feel like I tried all avenues of nursing in before. I think, you know what, it's time to leave.
So, you've had quite a varied background in nursing, and we have something in common. Well, not only the nursing, but we're nurses in COVID as well. So you went to ICU, I went to infectious diseases. You said you'll never want to do something like that again. I never want to do that ever again either. And What is it for you that makes you feel that way? Because again, I've had quite a lot of conversations with different nurses, and everyone pretty much feels the same.
I think because as a student nurse, you talk about things like that happen in a space that's outside of the UK, but actually being in a space where you are observing people who are coming towards the end of their lives and you're in a moment of uncertainty and everybody's panicking, you're automatically going to take on some stresses and strains from that because at the end of the day, you are a nurse, you are compassionate, and you don't want to see people be the way how you're witnessing them at that time. And there was a lot of things that was going on because people weren't having to go to work, still meeting up. And you were just thinking, can you not just stay in your bubble? Can you not just stay in your house so I can go home? And we don't have to be in this pandemic longer. But it was very hard for people who weren't in the depths of it to totally follow the rules, even the government. It was just very stressful. I had a lot of things that was going on at that time. I was still studying my master's in public health, which was fantastic at the time because we was going through a pandemic. But I had also my personal thing, my personal life that was going on, and it was just a lot. I was on nights. It was just a lot wearing a mask for 12 hours, and that's compressing my skin. And now I have so issues with my skin. I've got sores on my skin. My barrier isn't upset. So that's what started me in this facialist. I wanted to do it anyway, but this is what gave me the push start.
Yeah, and I I still think we are to hear stories of the pandemic. I don't think we've been given the spaces, and I've often thought about exploring it as a theme in one of the series of the podcast. But it is still quite difficult to talk about, isn't it? We saw people at their most vulnerable, and we were at our most vulnerable as well in those environments, and fearful. And there's a part of me that feels we've still not been given the space to process that. So you only have to hear something or listen to something, and it takes you back into that place. So I also too have had some issues with my skin as well post-COVID. I think what perhaps people don't know is it was very hot wearing the personal protective equipment, and that personal protective equipment was worn for a long time. You would do some changes throughout the day, but you're actually in that PPE for 12 and a half hours, like plus sometimes. Obviously had a break and when you could, but it was really hard. Before COVID, what led you to the interest in your skin anyway?
Well, I think my mother has always been all about wellness from the longest since I was born, really. And in my culture, being Caribbean, we're always lotioning our skin, creaming the babies, putting oils on the skin because we want it to be nice, supple, and soft. We want it to be gleaming and glistening. And sometimes it can be really embarrassing because you're like, Mom, it's too much. But it's a part of showing love as well. And my mother had some things passed down from her great grandmother, like from the Caribbean in Jamaica. We have a lot of different plants and saps and fruits like that. And we used to use a lot of coconut oil in the hair, whatever we could get really that was an oil formed on the skin. And my mum's always put like aloe vera juice on her face and drank aloe vera juice with Guinness and all sorts of things. And these are all things that people are doing now. So my mum's always been on my skin when I was a teenager, breaking out hormonally. She's like, well, Sheree, not cleaning your face properly. Sheree, you need to do this. Sheree, you need to you need to squeeze that spot. And you get in a time in your 20s where you're like, oh, you're not supposed to do that. But now, as a facialist, what my mum was telling me is the same thing that I'm telling other people now. And like I said, it's like a shared love and joy. I wanted to do beauty, become a beautician when I went to college, but the career advisor said I was going to be broke. So I just went down the health and social care, yeah, avenue. And I guess I've come around really like 360. So I use a lot of the wellness type notions that my mum has taught me to inform the practice that I'm doing because it's all about giving yourself time, grounding yourself whilst you're doing your skincare because it's not just the skin. The skin is a part of the body and it has its own job, but it's also a ritual. It's also a routine. So it's also a lifestyle. And I just enjoy it because obviously people can see when I'm taking care of my skin like anybody else, people see a difference. And it's also that time for yourself, very grounding. And that was actually what helped me to get out of my depression state during COVID, because my sister has always been the skincare queen. And that was just a shared thing that we had from our mother to what she used to help me to come out of my very depressive, weird space self being in COVID. And I just used that to propel me forward to do my facials.
Yeah. Culturally, is there something about the skin that's really important? Is it just that it's a form of self-love to yourself?
It's an act of showing that you care about yourself, having skin that looks nice and shiny and gleaming, that doesn't look ashy and dry, how it can look in the UK. And it goes the same thing with the hair as well. Just because some people might not have a lot of money to buy bread or buy this or buy that, your outer appearance really does matter, because it shows that you, obviously, like I said, you care for yourself, you have somewhere to go. And in Jamaica, they keep the whitest of whites. Honestly, like you would feel like, because they've got different type of dirt, colored dirt. You have red dirt, and it stays everything. They will get it back to gleaming white better than I can. They really look after their stuff, and they really look after themselves. And obviously, in the UK, sometimes the weather is just not good for us because it makes us really dry. It's really dry because in Jamaica and in humid areas, your skin would be producing its oils that it needs to produce. It will be humid, it won't be dry. So you have to do a bit more of make more of an effort in the UK, but it's just a love note to yourself. And if your family does it, it's a love note to say, like, I love you, I care for you. That's why you need
Yeah.
to be.
So that perspective, that how you feel about it, is that the part that supported you to overcome your depression following COVID?
Yeah, because it was obviously in the UK, sometimes it's always about fast life, everything's fast. COVID
Definitely.
actually really slowed everything down. And I know that my mum did a lot of her wellness things, so she wasn't stressed herself with the life in the UK. She went to a lot of saunas and steam rooms. So just taking nuggets out of the care that my mum did for herself, because a lot of the time she did it at home, my sister was able to give that back to me and
Okay.
have a shared time where we would do our skincare ourselves. We would reminisce on mum and everything else and what's going on in the world, because it's just that love story that we're doing for each other, that I love you, you love me. This is something that we do just to take care of our mind, the mind, which is talking nonsense a lot of the time, just to be present. So like in a meditation, you would just close your eyes and meditate on a verse or words or a vision. It's skincare to me is like a meditation. It's, am I okay? Is my skin okay? What do I have to do next? But slowing it down because you know that you've got a couple of steps
Yeah.
to do.
So,
Mhm.
so this is in yoga. Yoga means union, so it's connecting the mind, body, and breath. So this is your union of the mind, body, and breath, isn't it? With your skin.
And it's the same because the skin also needs oxygen. In yoga, you do breath work. We need oxygen to survive. The skin needs oxygen. Our organs need oxygen. So it's a little bit of what you said in terms of yoga and sort of really connecting the mind, the body, and the skin, because the skin is connected to. It shows you if someone's not well. It shows you if that you're not eating very well, or you're not sleeping very well, your eyes will be tired, you will be puffy. So there's a lot of signs that you can see with the skin if you're able to pay attention to it. And as nurses, that's what we're taught, to look at the skin. If someone's not well, they look a little bit grey, they look a bit yellow, they look a bit greenish. There's something obviously going on, a quick assessment as we would do.
Yeah.
So like,
I've
we need to do something.
I'm feeling all of that today. I haven't slept. It's too hot. I'm not hydrated enough.
Exactly. Exactly. Skin is like a first sense of something is not
Yeah,
something.
it's true though, isn't it? Because as nurses, we are taught to observe. So sometimes you can walk in a room, or you might have not seen somebody for a couple of days because you've been on your days off, and you can just tell,
Yeah.
can't you, how they are just by the color of the skin, the color around the lips, and that's before you do any of the medical observations. And
It's a true indicator. And obviously, we still use that in this medical industry, but in the beauty industry, sometimes it's not really seen. It's like a separate entity, but it's a very useful tool to find out what's actually going on. You just have to
Mhm.
be equipped to read the skin, as one would say. So it's very important.
And when you have worked with your skin and it's helped you overcome the period of sadness and it supported you in your well-being, how does that feel to you? What does that feel like?
It feels like I am taking care of me because
Mm.
appearance does matter to a certain extent, but it's not in the way of materialistic way. It's just the nurturing of the self, like how you would nurture your
Mhm.
gut so you could have maybe go to the toilet more frequently. A bit that's a bit too much, but or how you'd go to the gym to make sure that your muscles or that you're well enough or you're fit enough. I feel like it's just an element of time to myself and to not rush because I'm always rushing because of work and things are happening, things happen, life is busy. So it's just a moment for me just to reconnect because we can disconnect so quickly now because of internet, social media. The mind takes us somewhere else, thinking, oh, we're not where we're supposed to be. So it's just like a little love note as well to myself and to see if I'm actually sleep, is it taking over my skin? Do I need to get some more sleep? Do I need to do this? Do I need to do that? So I treasure it really is I guess it's a sacred thing for myself and me. And if I'm gonna do my long routine, I will happily do that in excitement because it's just more time for myself, regardless if I have internet or not.
I really like that actually, that it's something sacred for yourself, something just for you, a way of taking care of yourself. So we've got you to a good place with your skin and you shared how you feel about it. So then where did this journey take you?
So I wanted to find out how to become a facialist. So I was starting to go to Professional Beauty Manchester and ask questions. I'm always not afraid to ask questions. So I found out I needed to do a course. So I did the course. But after the course, I didn't feel like I was equipped to run my own business or to do facials because as a nurse with my mind, I need to understand exactly why. I am taught that, but I need to know more information. I need to,
Mhm.
why am I using retinol? Why am I using an acid? Why am I doing everything else? So I began just to go old school in terms of being at university and read journals, read textbooks, ask more questions, and try to understand the skin myself. But in the midst of that, I was working at UKHSA where I met yourself, and I was creating a facial oil because one of the problems I had during COVID was a lot of dryness on my skin because I see use an air conditioned area, even though I'm hot. Like the air is still going on my face. So I created an oil and that was quite successful. I thought it was a fluke because everybody enjoyed it and really liked it and it made your skin nice, supple and soft. And then I went ahead and then launched my facial service in a clinic in Wimslow. So I would do a couple of facials there. But it was a bit difficult bringing all of my stuff, all of my equipment that I've bought to the clinic back and forth. So then I found one that was closer to home in the city centre of Manchester. And in between that, I've been to New York to go to their conferences to learn more about skin, to network with other people, to learn more about how to do facials on people with of darker complexions, because that's not really spoken about enough. And I ended up meeting some really good people, a really good lady, Tyler, what she called the acne assassin, and learning from her. I speak to her on social media now. And it's very important to network with other people to understand how they're doing their business and to understand skincare, skin on a deeper level. And from there, I have just been doing facials at the clinic in Manchester and trying to advertise myself as well. But sometimes I feel like a bit of an imposter because it's just like, oh my goodness, I can't do this. But I've been doing more serious things in nursing on my own. But it's just a change of avenue from the public sector to private sector to working out for yourself.
Yeah, I think that there's something about becoming a nurse that becomes ingrained in you very, very quickly. And I don't know if it's true. I don't know if this is the right word to use, but I think sometimes you become institutionalized within a system,
Mhm.
and it's really hard to break away from those feelings and those thoughts. And if you've got an active registration, you still have that code of conduct to adhere to. You're always thinking policy, you're always thinking accountability. So these decisions, when we do make these decisions to step away, it's not done lightly, is it? And it's not like we leave it behind completely. I'm not quite sure we ever can. We ever
Oh,
can.
I know. I see a lot of like new student nurses. It's like a new attitude in terms of nursing that they come in and they are thinking, okay, I'm going to have my own business. I'm going to set up my own business, and that's fantastic in a way. But for me, the code of conduct, I can't even remember how many times during my student nursing, they just spoke about it all the time. If you don't do this, this is going to happen. If you're not doing this, then this is happening. You can't do this. You can't wear this. You can't do. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. So it was a space, not even just myself, like we've just talked about. Lots of nurses are always constantly thinking about accountability. Like, if I do this and they see that I've done this, what can happen to me? What's going to happen to my pin? That's what we all talk about at the end of the day. And it's a shame that it is that way, but it's also lovely to see more nurses talk about something that they're interested in and they're passionate about. And I'm seeing more surgeons advertising for their own services, and it's fantastic because the Americans have been doing it for the longest of times. And we're just stood behind our policies and procedure thinking, I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I want to put myself out there. So it does really shape your identity as a nurse. And I don't think it's a bad thing because then you know that you're trying to do things by the book, but it can be restricting when you want to try and get outside of the boundaries and do something for yourself, really.
Yeah, I completely understand that, and having been on some exploration and pathway over the past year, there's been guilt, there's been shame, there's been embarrassment, and
Definitely.
these decisions are just not taken lightly at all. Am I ruining my career? I've done this for 20 odd years, and so there is something to be said that we get this incredible skill set working as nurses, but I think it comes to a point where you're realizing that perhaps you're not caring in the way that you want to care, that
Mm.
your heart wants you to care, and that we're moving away to find other ways to care for people. And would you find that a true statement?
Yes, because in comparison to the way how I was taught in my nursing studies, we were very close with our patients. So we would do washing, we would do all of these things. So we actually know our patient inside out in some respects, which you were kind of unhappy about because you know, okay, that person's doing something and that person wouldn't normally do that. But now we're into this space where the NHS is packed with lots of people, patients. There's not enough staff on the medical side or the nursing side, that you're having to take more of a responsibility, which a junior doctor would probably do at that time. Now you're taking it on, and then that gets passed down to a maybe healthcare worker. So you're not able to have that communication and that close proximity with your patient as we once did, because now we have paperwork, we have lots of things that we need to do, we need to be more accountable. So it has changed the shape of nursing, and the care has changed because something has to give. You know, a nurse is going to have to do one more piece of paperwork and then it gets passed to somebody else to check the obs on that person. Can you go and wash on that person? When you're doing your washing for the person, regardless if you like it or not, you're able to assess the patient, you're able to see the skin, you need to make sure if the wound is healing of how it should, because I worked on the surgical side. You're able to see all of these things that you wouldn't be able to see just going to say, oh, good morning, Mr. Smith, how are you doing today? There's a lot of things that you could get out of that, but the scope of nursing has changed just because
Yeah.
people are tired now. People want more money, better pay, better quality of life. And it's not like you're living that now as a nurse.
Last time I was there and back in COVID, sometimes, well, most days actually, it felt it felt like you were delivering care for quality assurance purposes, and not care for the human being, which are two very different things, I feel. And quality assurance is important. It has an incredible part to play in keeping people safe. But sometimes as human beings, it's not what we need at that most vulnerable time.
There wasn't even times when I was on the ward to even comb anybody's hair or to do
Yeah,
things, because you would do that, especially if I see somebody from my own community where people might have difficulty combing that person's hair, but I know how to comb her hair. I didn't have time to even do that if the relatives didn't come round. You just don't have time to do those things anymore, or to know
yeah.
that Sally hasn't eaten her food because she doesn't like raisins, So those things are more overlooked. Now, I can't really speak about what's going on in the world today. I can only go off what the last time when I was on there, but things have changed over like 10 years ago. Been qualified 14 years, but you think like nursing shouldn't change so quickly, but it really has.
And so facials, when you're in your clinic and you're doing those facials, does that feel like how looking after somebody should be? Does it give you those feelings that I'm missing? Is
Most definitely, because I'm there to help calm that person's mind. And a lot of the time they do fall asleep in the couch, and that's lovely because yes, we are looking at the skin and we're trying to uncover what the skin is saying that the person needs to do, but you're also relaxing the person, you're relaxing the muscle. There's a lot of tension that's held in the face from frowning, from, biting out the jaw together. So you're just relaxing all of that and you're able to do the care in this way, how you would want to, because then they're leaving the couch thinking, you know what, I feel so relaxed, I can have a good sleep and my skin feels good. Like the skin feels like the bonus almost. So I'm able to do that. And I'm also able to like check observations and do those things because a lot of people are stressed. And working in pre-assessment, I realized that a lot of people do have high blood pressure. And because they don't go to the GP because they don't have to go, I understand they might get white coat syndrome, which they get nervous when they go into a hospital. But a lot of the time, it shouldn't be that high. So
Mhm.
having a space where people can have the blood pressure taken randomly, for me, it's an indicator saying, do you know what? You can go to your GP and just get this checked out. GP can check
Mm.
because then we want to reduce risk of a stroke. So no, nursing never goes anywhere. I'm still using my nursing knowledge to still assess a person, but just in a different way.
Yeah, and you're holding space for that person, and you're 100% present for present for that person as well, which when you're working in a system like healthcare is very difficult to do because of the time constraints, isn't it? And you're pulled in so many directions, that it can be a barrier to having that presence in the way that you want to.
Most definitely, because how we conduct ourselves as humans in the UK now is different. We eat a lot more. We don't exercise as much as we should, and all those things have a consequence in terms of the public health of the UK. So all of those things also come into the play of nursing, and you just don't have enough people to provide the care that you were taught to give as a student nurse.
Yeah, which is really, really sad. So so you said that you created your own oil. So what are you doing with are you got plans for the oil?
Yeah, so the oil I use as a part of my service, depending on the person's skin condition. But I also had given it out to a couple of people in work because I wanted people to try it. These are what my oil's been tried on real people. I've changed the formula so many times because of the feedback that I had. And I wanted something that would keep my skin nice, supple, and soft. I've tried so many creams and lotions and everything because my mum's had a dresser full of them. And then I did it, started my journey on my own. And I didn't feel like these products gave me the softness and the suppleness that I really wanted. So going back to my ancestry really of using natural plant oils and saps and stuff like that to care for the skin and the hair, I just thought, well, why don't I create an oil that can be used for the skin? So I bought textbooks again. I looked at the profile of these oils that I wanted to use, and I made sure that they were specifically good for making the skin nice, supple, and soft. And I did that what they needed to do because a lot of the times you'll have an oil that are filled with bulky ingredients like mineral oil or almond oil is really good, but it's like a dry oil. So I know it's not going to do much for me. So I wanted to use oils that had a lipid profile of keeping the skin nice, supple, and soft, and similar to what we already produce. So then I came up with Dew Rain, and it's a beautiful oil. Everybody's enjoyed it. I will send you a sample actually, Andrew, in the post, because I've just heard so much good things about it. So I use them in my clinic, and it's available to purchase as well. And I'm really proud of that oil, and it just reminds me of my mom and my great grandmother. Really, I just say thank you for them for passing on the wisdom to myself.
Wow. And you've been able to take it out into the world and share with everybody else. That's a real beautiful story in its own of that intergenerational wisdom. And as we move along the heritage and the generations, I feel we get a little bit braver and we go out into we're able to create a different world or bring out into the world that wisdom that we've held.
Well, definitely, because at this moment in time where technology is power and is number one, we forget about the traditional ways of doing things. We forget, yes, medicine is here and science has significantly helped to prolong life and everything like that. But before that, people were using things to prolong their life anyway. So it's kind of bringing that. It's the same thing in nursing. Yes, we have a blood pressure machine that can take the blood pressure, but can you take it manually? You know, that they're giving you two different types of readings and the sounds, how you respond to something. You can get a lot more out of it. So it's bringing those traditional things back in, you know, using
Yeah.
and butters and
It's I've had quite a similar conversation a few weeks ago on the podcast, and it's almost like a marriage really of traditional and holistic plant, that there is a place for them to work side by side in care, but perhaps more so and not at the expense of the traditional ways of doing things that work
we do
anyway.
it all throughout surgery. We do because you have to do things that the body recognizes. The body doesn't recognize all these synthetic things that we are making to make things cheaper or more, you know, effective. The body doesn't recognize those things. We still use honey in terms of wound care. We still use
Mm.
a lot of natural things, even though it's medical because it's gone through testing, but we still use raw factors that we've been used for centuries to maintain the body. All these hormones or medications, they are already within the body. We've just mimics them so we can create them on a bigger batch so we can give it to people in emergency or to maintain their life. People often forget and feel like technology is the way forward. Yes, it is. But does the body recognize it? That's a different thing. That's why we get people who reject if they're having a transplant, they have to have medication because the body might not recognize that for various many complex different reasons. So, they do have their space, both holistic medicine and scientific medicine.
When I asked you the question about how it felt for you to do the clinic, and you told us what it felt like, but your whole person, your whole face lit up. So, how do you describe the work with the skin? Do you call it your true calling or your sole purpose? Or what are your thoughts and feelings about it? How would you describe it to yourself?
Yeah, I would think that it is a place of authenticity for me. And yes, perhaps it might be a calling because of my heritage to do with caring for the skin and how passionate I am about it. And I do feel that anything that linked with helping well-being in terms of the mind, reducing stress is also always beneficial for anybody. When I'm in the clinic with my clients, I know that the space that I'm trying to create, even though they're trying to find a solution for their skin, but we're all stressed in one way or another. So I do feel like it's my calling. I've got such a big vision for what I want to do for Oreen that the facial part is just the mustard seed, the beginning. Because my mum always went to saunas, always went to steam rooms, and unfortunately I had to go with her in the 90s when you could just bring your child anywhere. But not only in the sauna and the steam room, she wasn't on her own. It was a community of people meeting each other, talking to each other. It's that different type of support. And in England, we don't always have those places, or they're not always aware that these places that go. I go to one in Virgin Gym, it's silent. I go into Steam Room, it's silent. Sauna, it's silent. But when my mum used to go to Moss Side Leisure Centre, you'll be hearing the cackling from somewhere. Everyone's talking about it's just a form of support. And if you look in the European side where they go have bath houses, like Japan, they have bath houses. It's a space of social people talking and communicating with each other. So that's eventually something that I would like to create as well. But I just want to recreate a community and recreate a space to be yourself, to be grounded, to seek serenity and find like-minded people, you know?
I feel we've really lost the art of connection and connecting. I don't know if it's that politically we've been divided and like a suspicion has been created, feeling like,
Isolated, alone.
isolated, but like we've become a little bit wary of each other. So instead of being open to conversation, and those conversations just flow in. So I'm totally with you on that, and it's one of the reasons I do this podcast.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I do agree. The connection is being lost, and we're seeing it more and more now, especially with social media, because people are busy comparing or, talking about one another, and we're just getting lost. And with that lost connection, then we don't know how to help one another or what to say, what not to say,
yeah,
because we're too scared or isolated or we don't know how. We're just losing that connection. And that's why I feel like a lot of people are going to analog mode where they are probably not having the phone as much. Or if they go on holiday, they'll turn it off, or they want to use a record player now. They want to get things out that didn't require a connection to the internet so they can just be in a place of solace. So I
yeah.
feel like that's coming back around because I know I will leave my phone at home and I'll go shopping. I'm not really that bothered, but it is noticed now. People are becoming a lot more lonely in their younger years.
And so, are you allowed to share a little about your vision?
Yes, I will share a bit about my vision. So, yeah, so I've started the skincare, doing my facials for, the skin, hopefully doing the facials for pre-surgery as well, because a lot of people now are getting surgical procedures, which is fantastic. But I really want to do something in terms of managing scars. I really want to be something that can help people to prepare for surgery, because that's what I've been doing in pre-assessment all of this time. And it's a very useful, you have to have it anyway before you have surgery, but it crops up a lot of questions in my mind. And I would love to have a bathhouse, like a traditional old school bathhouse where the swimming pool is there and it's not there for swimming, as my Brazilian friend at work would be saying. It'd be don't swim in the swimming pool, we just sit there and look nice. I'm like, okay. Yeah, so I really do want to bring those elements back and put them in one space. I would love to create a retreat, and that's something that I'm going to be hopefully working on in the next coming months. I have no idea how I'm going to do it or what the case might be, but I really want to. I want to bring something where wellness is the center, is the theme, and we're bringing people into these spaces who share that same likeness. Maybe they might form friendship. Maybe it's something to look forward to with a friend, but it's an event for people to do and look forward to. That's nothing to do with eating all the time or drinking, even though that would be included, but not.
I'm here to help if you ever need it.
Yes,
It's definitely my superpower.
definitely.
So it's been lovely talking to you, Sheree, and we will share all your work details and contacts in the show notes. And thank you for coming on the podcast.
Problem.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of The Connection Compass. If you think it will help someone else, please leave a review. If you're interested in attending the leadership event on Monday, the 20th of October in Manchester, don't forget to check the show notes. And if you have any questions about this podcast episode or the podcast itself, please visit Andrea L. Evans' Facebook page. And remember to keep talking, keep connecting for a more interconnected world.